Hey guys, welcome to Digital Altitude. My name's Ian Bergevin. I'll be your coach. Welcome to my humble little office. So as you went through the Digital Altitude system, it obviously assigns you a coach, a business coach, to kind of get you through the first beginning steps of starting your new business. So this is your welcome call. One of the reasons why I'm doing a welcome call kind of like this is because I know that a lot of you guys are really eager to get started. A lot of you have just tons of questions of kind of what it is that you're getting into, how does this work, and how do I get to these videos that Michael keeps talking about? Well, one of the things I don't want to do is I don't want to hold you back. Right now you have a lot of ether, you want to get moving, and I absolutely want to feed that fire and get you going as soon as possible. So one of the things I think is extremely important is that you get to know me a little bit. So I'm creating this video just so you can understand kind of what I expect, what's expected of you through this whole process, which is it's very, very simple. Don't get scared. Don't be shy. So a little bit more about me again. As I'm making this video, I'm 31 years old. I almost forgot there for a second. Who's counting? Recently married. Just got married here up in Hawaii, on the island of Kauai, by Poipu Beach. Amazing experience to get married out there on the beach, and it was kind of a dream of mine to be able to do something like that. And I'm glad that I'm here today to be able to say that I've started accomplishing things like that. Part of my background, if you haven't read my bio, when I was a kid, I was very athletic. I rode mountain bikes for a long time, so I love talking to people about bikes and cars and things like that. Always been big in cars and racing. When I was 19, I enlisted in the United States military as a mechanic, and changed over to being an MP as well, because just happened to be with the unit that I was with. So we got to roll around some of the SF guys and got to play with some of their toys and got to see lots of really cool stuff and some really cool places, and honestly just a lot of experiences that you would never be able to get to do being a regular civilian. So made me a stronger patriot at heart. I'll always be one with the military. I'm always going to be a patriot, and that's why most every piece of clothing that I have an American flag attached to it. So there's a special place in my heart for stuff like that. When I got out, one of the first jobs I got was actually being a car salesman. I worked in paint a little bit before, but just wasn't my thing, working the hourly job, and I'll kind of get to that a little bit later. But I got into car sales, and at first it was huge because we were doing cash for clunkers. You make tons of money. There's this stereotype about car sales before you really judge who I am and what I did. I did a lot of fleet stuff. One of the things that I accomplished when I was a car salesman is I was always that guy, and you guys that have done this before know exactly what I'm talking about. I would sell 8 to 10 cars a month and make more money than 80% of the sales staff that was out there. And one of the reasons I was able to accomplish something like that was because of return customers, because of loyalty, and working a pay plan and things like that. Part of the problems is that when you work in an employment environment, they don't take it that way. They say that you have to make certain levels every month and constantly improve. And even if you're not working, you're not selling anything that day. I mean, once I was in the business for long enough, I got to the point where I didn't really talk to new people. They just kind of came in and asked for me, and new management comes in and says that's not acceptable. We don't want to work it that way anymore, and that doesn't work for me. I wasn't able to grow a business like that, and honestly, life as a car salesman was not something I wanted to retire as. It's not. I have no knocks on the business by any means. I think that there's a way to do it, and there's a direction that it could be done. I just didn't see it going my way, and so I've been constantly trying to change that business into something that I wanted to do. But in the meantime, when I was getting frustrated with my life there and how much money I wasn't making, it obviously was a direct reflection on my paycheck. I found Digital Altitude. Digital Altitude was introduced to me by a guy that I knew through my now wife, and he basically showed up at one of my birthday parties a long time ago, and he was listening to me rant. Okay, I was that guy. I was in the negativity gutter. I couldn't complain more than anything. If you asked any one of my friends, Ian was that guy that's always complaining. I was the grumpy guy, and I didn't like that kind of reputation. I didn't like being the guy that was always complaining about stuff and always complaining about my job. And it's commonly referred to as a cancer, because you start talking and your negativity will flow off on other people, and there's something very, very true about that. And so I've been on this quest to find more positive things and a positive affirmation for what I want to do. So I took a leap of faith. I took my buddy's advice and I went into Digital Altitude and I started marketing. I also agreed to be a coach, so I do both. And one of the coaching things that I like about it is talking to people on the other side of things and training them how to do better about business, training them how to be better with money, and there's lots of things that we kind of get into. But a lot of it is really just helping you. You're obviously here because you're making some sort of change. Okay, where I wanted to make a change, I was frustrated with where I was going. I was negative. I was, pissy all the time. I was not the guy you wanted to hang out with. You don't have a lot of friends. And now I'm in this position where we do nothing but we feed you positivity. We work on things like affirmation and, bettering your life. So, business and growing business is not just it's not just a money thing. This is a lifestyle change. Some of the things that I stopped doing, and not saying that you have to do, but, I don't drink, I don't smoke anymore, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. My focus is mainly about, my lifestyle of, bettering my family and taking them to places like Hawaii whenever I want to, and, spending 2-3 weeks at a time without having to worry about money. That's something we all dream about, is not really worrying about money. So, obviously you're here for a reason. There's several different reasons. Some of you, I have lots of questions for, which I want you to write me. So I want to get into the 3 questions I'm really going to ask, and it's more or less 3 paragraphs, is probably better explained. The first paragraph I want you to write to me is, what are you doing for income right now? Are you working, not working, employed, retired, whatever it is? What are you doing for money? And the second part of your paragraph, I'd kind of like to know, like if you're employed or retired or whatever it is, why now? What made you decide to make a decision now to make this change? Your second paragraph, I kind of like to know a little bit more about your experience. It's okay if you don't have any. Don't be shy. If you're just your average Instagram guy that goes through Instagram, posts a couple pictures, maybe you just go on Facebook a couple times. Hey, not a big deal. Have you done advertising before? Have you been in any kind of affiliated company before? Not a problem. Please tell me about your experiences. And then finally, I kind of want to know what drives you. How do you have the characteristics as an entrepreneur to continue something like this? And what I mean by that is, are you driven? Are you motivated? Are you willing to learn? Are you coachable? Things like that. Coachable is so big, guys. I can't even tell you. If I can't teach you something and you're not receptive to it, none of this works. It absolutely does not work. You have to be able to try new things and listen to some experiences of other people and, read between the lines and make this an experience for yourself. So what drives you and why are you coachable? That's kind of what I'm looking for. I get a lot of responses sometimes from some people that are very, very short. If you're one of the people who are going to send me a short response, you might as well not even send me a response. I'll tell you why. It basically just tells me that you're not really trying. When somebody's willing to spend the time to actually write me a quick 1-page summary of themselves, why they're here, what they're doing, things like that, even if it's not in that order, it tells me a lot different than somebody that's only going to write a little bit. So you don't have to go on a book by all means, but please tell me, at least those 3 things. If you want to elaborate on more than that, I, absolutely willing to listen to your story and help you do this. So the next steps after this, guys, basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to do a series of steps. So the most important parts, we're going to start with what's called mindset. And so that's steps 1, 2, and 3. Once we get done with steps 1, 2, and 3, we're going to have a meeting. Just to clarify with everybody, it is your responsibility to book those meetings. And we don't like in Digital Altitude for people to try to go out, weeks on end without a meeting. So we just don't do it. One of the things I'm going to encourage you to do is, try to find a way to make the time for it to happen. By case-by-case basis only do I do appointments after hours. Just like anybody else, I work for myself. When I go home to my family, it's not acceptable to my wife or my family to take time away from them because somebody forgot or for whatever reasons. Now, if somebody absolutely can't make it, hey, we'll work on that. But really, there should be plenty of times available on my calendar. At the end of this page, you should see a little booking link on there. And they're all converted for the right time zone. So you don't have to worry about that. Everything should sync up just fine. And what you're going to do is for those meetings, you're going to meet me on Skype. One thing I'm going to ask you before the next meeting, and once you're done with your steps, you don't necessarily need to keep all your notes and everything on you. Those are really for you. I do want you to write down all your questions, just because 99.99% of the time your questions are going to be answered before you meet with me. But I still would like you to write them down, and then you just kind of cross them off as you go. And the ones that you still want to ask me, let's make sure to write them down, otherwise we always forget. And we'll go through a meeting there. When you get on Skype and you're getting ready for the meeting, I usually ask people just to message me about 5 minutes before or so. Make sure that I know that you're there and I don't forget. I'm human too. Sometimes I do forget. It's not that big of a deal. But also, the reason why I want you to be early is just in case you run into any problems along the way. It's pretty common for somebody to get on Skype and not really know what they're doing, or maybe internet's down or whatever. So again, try to be there a little bit early. So one of the other things that I want you to do is make sure that if you're on a phone, speaking of my phone going off, is I need you to be on Wi-Fi. It's really difficult. I mean, I'd say that you can do it on data, but it's just not as reliable. There's a big difference between your data line and a Wi-Fi line. Your Wi-Fi is extremely fast. It's a little bit more reliable. When you're on data, you have video that buffers. And so when we're on a live call, it just doesn't work out unless you have extremely great reception. I'm talking like full reception. And that's about the only time that I really see that work. So I will ask that you're in a quiet place, that you don't have any distractions. That's kind of why I got my office, so I don't have any distractions. And you're there about 5 minutes early. I will always make sure that I am ready early. I'm pretty good about that. I think I've only missed about 1 or 2 appointments, as usually due to something that I couldn't control over thousands and thousands of calls. So if we can do that, we are golden, guys. We'll do our step 3 appointment, and then once we get done with that, we'll give you some more instruction from there. But hopefully that answers a lot of your questions. That's all I have for you today. That's our very first meeting. Very excited to meet you guys and to get started. Like I said, in some of my dialogue there, if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to call me. Please leave your name and number so I know who you are. Otherwise, I'll have no idea. But it is always easier just to message me on Skype. It is the easiest way for me to set time aside so I can get in front of you guys. So again, look forward to working with you. I'll see you soon. Bye.